heartbreaking tragedy, especially for the 3 teenagers who died. That's who I really felt for. 3 13-year-olds in this helicopter. And even for Kobe Bryant, who was only 41 years old. But after I got over the shock, my husband, he came downstairs on the day that was a Sunday, I think. He came downstairs and he said, Kobe Bryant is dead. I was like, what? Bryant? But after I got over that, I had to ask myself, what really does Kobe Bryant's life or death have to do with my life? He's a star, he's a millionaire, he lives in California. I'm not any of those things. You know, I would understand my interests, and believe me, I stayed on my phone trying to keep up with the story. I would understand my interests if I was the owner of one of those Sikorsky S-76B 1991 model helicopter that he was riding in, because I want to know what happened. Right. So that would make sense. Or if I lived in LA, or if I played in the NBA. And he was a personal friend like he was of Magic Irvin Johnson. Or if I was Magic's mama. Then I'd be concerned because I'd be telling my son, you know what, avoid those helicopters for me. And keep your feet on the ground. But I'm none of those. Yet, I am keenly interested in Kobe Bryant's death. Morbid curiosity? Maybe, but I think it's this. I know Kobe Bryant's story. Stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And for Kobe Bryant, I've got all the parts. So why wouldn't I be interested? Kobe Bryant was 17 years old in 1996 when he was drafted right out of high school. First round, 13th pick. That's the beginning of his story. It was such an accomplishment. He had a stellar career of over 20 years with the Los Angeles Lakers, helping to make basketball an undeniable part of American culture with black men at the center of it. That's the middle. And now he has died. And I want to know everything about the end of his story so that that story can be complete for me. Now, lots of people wrote Kobe Bryant's story, but there's just me writing mine. So I need to get on it and stay on it. You too. You too. Write your story. And that's why I salute you who research your families. You spend all that time. And I want to tell you, I want you to tell your story. Because one day those people who think you are crazy to live in the microfilm room at the library in Michigan, they're going to thank you. One day they're going to thank you. Now the initial research, let's go past this one. Let's go back. The initial research, don't do that to me. Here we go. We'll just go here. The initial research is about finding people by name. In my book, I tell a story about a man who found 1,500 names to add to their family tree. That's a list. Who's going to listen to that? It's like the opening verses of a book in the Old Testament. First Chronicles, I'm just going to do a few lines. From Adam to Abraham, 1. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, the descendants of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Titus, the descendants of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Dipthop, and Torgamash, the descendants of Javan, Elishah, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodamin, the descendants of, and you get the idea. Imagine on Thanksgiving, and you are starting to talk about your research that you are all so excited about for good reason, because you spend a whole bunch of time in the microfilm room at the library in Michigan. And you're going on and on with these names. What does your family do? And these are the people who should be most interested in it. They wander back into the living room. Tell me when you got something interesting. However, stories catch people's attention. Stories do. Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, I can't tell a story. You probably can. I couldn't either before I started practicing. And some days I still can't tell a story. It's a skill. Now, getting started telling your story, your family story, you gotta think about, what does your family do? What is your theme? Ours in my family is education. So it wasn't really, I was sort of surprised. I spent so much time at LCC, and that picture was taken at one of the graduations when I was one of the faculty sitting on the floor. You've seen them. You've seen us sitting there, and if you're close enough, you can see in the graduation program somebody got an Essence magazine. It's not that we're bored. It's just as long, and So everybody's got a theme. Lolita Tandemi wrote Cane River. And she found her theme in the colorism of her family. She found a story in how they maintained light, nearly white skin in their black family. This is Cane Rivers in Louisiana. Look at these people. And they did not rely on genetic mutation or what we call throwback. They actively married to get this look, to maintain this look. And they didn't rely on the paper bag test. It's Louisiana, down in there, and so they were marrying off these bright-skinned Negroes historically to French men. And that's how that happened. So, and they had all the advantages of any white person in Louisiana, and that included houses, school, beautiful clothes, and respect. And that may have been the reason they did it, so they could have respect. In telling this story, she also showed how some white men stood up for their black families. Her story was a departure from the master narrative of the white man raping the African woman he enslaved. That is a true narrative, but it's not the only one. You need to find your story and tell it. Storytelling is a skill that can be learned. The African griots were fantastic, but they had apprentices. Some people, like my husband, sitting up here, grew up in storytelling families, and he got those skills as a birthright. I'll tell you a little story. Me and Michael were at dinner in Ann Arbor with some people, including a family we didn't know. And Michael was talking to their kid, and this kid was listening. But I was thinking, when is he going to be quiet? Because I'm not from a storytelling family. But then something fabulous happened. This kid leaned over and said to his dad in a stage whisper, "He's a good storyteller." What did I know? Really. It's like Ellen DeGeneres said in one of the Oscar broadcasts that she hosted. She was trying to explain why they put a time limit on acceptance speeches. And she said, it's not that we don't have time for long speeches. We just don't have time for boring speeches. So we want to learn how to tell a story. Here's some ways that you can learn to tell your story and enjoy it. One, you can, well, this is part of your family story, is your family was somewhere. So that beyond the names, you can look at the places where they live. and try to understand that. Now, what does this picture say to you? If you were to find this story, somebody is researching your life, what does this picture say? Because people read pictures. My book has a lot of pictures.
That's why it's in Michigan.
Yeah, exactly, right here. Yeah, they were living in some kind of capital city. You know it's not the White House because you can't get close to that place. But yeah, that's right. That's what it tells you. So you can start talking about the places where they live, and then you can start to understand what kind of lives they live. So we all live in a government town, state government, GM a little bit now. If you're out on the east side, Michigan State is a big presence. But mostly now it's all about state government. And so you can know what they were doing. They probably worked for the state. I'm from Detroit. I never thought I would be living 35 years in Lansing. Detroiters didn't even come this way. So the next step is to tell your story. When you're ready, I want you to take that step. You can take a class. You can take a class in writing stories. These family stories fall in a genre called creative nonfiction. And these are true stories told with the techniques of fiction, such as setting, dialogue, character setting being where are you, characters being who are they, and description. And then you can recite your stories and leave them for others to read. The nice thing about modern writing instruction or writing instruction today is that there's a component to every class where or every piece you write, where you read your stories aloud to your classmates. And then you can hear your story and you can get some feedback on it and you can practice telling your story. So taking a writing class is a good way to start to learn how to do that. You can sponsor a storytelling event at your church or community center. I have participated in all of the local ones. The WKR radio has something called Pop-Up Stories. The Lansing State Journal Storytellers Project, and then the Rally of Writers that I mentioned earlier, they have a warm-up the day before the conference where you tell stories, stand up and tell stories. And I have been telling my stories for more than a decade at the Coffee House at All Saints, which is my church in East Lansing. I've learned to stand up and read and to perform my stories and to greet people and accept what they say about my story, and it's all good. Remember that people want to understand what you're saying in your story and about your family, and they want you to do well. And they will lean in and listen, giving you the benefit, no doubt.